Hey homeschool friends, welcome to today's video. So we have been using Sonlight curriculum for almost 2 years now. We have really progressed from starting with just the HBL or the History Bible Literature, and then we progressed to using the HBL plus the science, and now we're using the HBL plus the science plus the language arts. And you guys, I love Sonlight for so very many reasons. And so that is what we are going to be talking about in today's video. All the different reasons I love Sonlight, why it works for me, why it works for my kids, and just why it has been such a blessing for our family. So stay tuned if you are interested to know a little bit more about why Sonlight has become really my ultimate favorite homeschool curriculum. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to the channel if you're new here, or welcome back if you have been coming for a while. So like I said, we're talking all things Sonlight today, specifically the 10 things I love most about the Sonlight curriculum. So a little context on me. I am a homeschool mom. We've been homeschooling for over 4 years now. I have 4 kids. I have a 9-year-old, a 7.5-year-old, and twin 5-year-olds. And we have used 2 programs through Sonlight. We have used the HBL-K, well, it used to be the K, so it's the American History Program, and we are currently using HBL-B, which is Ancient History, or year 1 of 2 of World History. So, like I said, I love Sonlight. I actually do have a referral link down below. If you've never used Sonlight before and you want to try it out, it's like $10 off. But honestly, this is the best time to purchase Sonlight because they have a ton of sales during like March and April. I mean, I'm in the process of putting together what I want for next year, but I'll always link that down below. It's also a quick way to get to the Sonlight website. But enough about that. Let's just hop into my reasons. Now, I came up with 10 reasons. I think I probably have way more than that, but these are the 10s I kind of narrowed it down to, and they are no particular order. I just couldn't order these. So let's just hop in. So the first thing I love about Sonlight is that history comes alive. You guys, I have seen this with my kids. History really is one of their favorite subjects because of the stories. Because of the way Sonlight uses literature, it uses both spine books, so books you will be using the entire year. Sometimes they are more like Usborne encyclopedia books. Other ones just take a small snippet, like the Time Traveler book we're currently using for HBLB. But along with that, it also uses read-alouds. Historical read-alouds, so you're talking really historical fiction to really round out the stories. To take what we are learning in, say, our spine book and putting a story on it, really adding perspective to the history. It really teaches the kids to walk in someone else's shoes, right? And we always want that. We want ourselves and our kids to be able to understand a situation kind of from the inside out, because it grows compassion, it grows understanding. And it is so true, especially for the history portion of the Sonlight curriculum. We just love that. I feel like my kids are constantly wanting to learn the history or wanting me to read the history spines, and oftentimes they are reenacting things. Like currently we're working through kind of Troy and Greece and Rome and all the stories from ancient history, and they are playing it out together. And it's just really fun to watch. And I feel like in the past, I have never been able to manufacture that in them or encourage them to do that. They're just doing it naturally because they're learning through story, which Sonlight just does such a good job with that. So that's my first thing I just love. I love about Sonlight. The second thing, like I said, there's no particular order, because the second thing I love about Sonlight is all the books. You guys, I am a book lover. It is a hobby of mine. I grew up as a reader. I love books. I love books both for entertainment, but also to learn things. And the plethora of books in Sonlight's curriculum is just, it's so delightful. I love opening the big boxes and unboxing all of the different books for the year. It's just so exciting. My kids get so excited when they see all the books. Even my kindergartners, or at least next year's kindergartners, are not getting new books, but they still are really excited for the books that are on the shelves that they know they're going to read next year. And I think it just really instills a love of reading, but I guess more of a love of books, because learning to read is still hard, but a love of books. And so they're all excited to be able to learn to read so that they can become book lovers. It's just how our family dynamic works. We have like 5 bookcases. The kids are requesting bookshelves for birthday gifts instead of toys. They want books. And so it's just wonderful. So I love that about Sonlight. The next thing I really appreciate about Sunlight curriculum is that it's just kingdom focused. It is very much focused on growing our kids' faith and just well teaching them, helping them wrestle with some ideas, especially as young believers or young people in faith, and trying to understand kind of the bigger pictures of how we interact with each other, how historically the church has interacted with people, and all of that plays into kind of their understanding of Jesus and understanding of the kingdom, really. And I just love that with Sunlight, it takes that approach, kind of that bigger picture approach to faith. It's not so much memorizing books of the Bible, although that's good, that's fine. I just feel like I have so many more good conversations with my kids about kind of core tenets in our faith because of the things we're reading in Sunlight, especially in the Bible portion, but in all the other books they choose, you guys. That's the best part. As you can see that some of the characters in these books love Jesus, and you can talk about that with the kids. And I just love that. I love that it's all interwoven within the curriculum for Sunlight. And then number 4 is I think Sunlight does an excellent job at exposing the kids and giving them compassion for different people groups and other cultures. I love this. I mean, you can study geography and you can do kind of world cultures, but I feel like the angle with which Sunlight takes in their curriculum is to help my kids understand what it might feel like to be a member of that culture, to understand what it would feel like to have this be part of their history, whatever it is. I feel like it helps them, one, understand that the world is big and God's heart is big for the whole world. And Sunlight does a great job of just having that missional focus. Like there's a missionary story in every level. I feel like there's a couple in some of them. And the instructor's guide is constantly encouraging us to pray for different people groups, to pray for different situations. And I love it. I feel like my kids just have a broader view of kind of the human experience because of it, especially at these ages. So I love that. So that was number 4. Number 5 is the instructor's guide, you guys. This beast is so good. I mean, it's so heavy. It's full of so many papers, but so much help for me as the parent to be able to pick this up and take out what I need for the day, get my books, and have just amazing conversations. And it gives me the guidance to do that. It helps me see when we're pulling different resources out, whether it be maps or timelines or different activity kits like the hands-on history kit or even the science experiments. It's all detailed in there, and it helps me figure out what I need to do. Now, mind you, I feel like it could feel kind of like a taskmaster if you let it, but I don't feel like I've ever viewed curriculum that way. We use it how we need to. Sometimes we're ahead, sometimes we're behind, sometimes we're doing school on Saturdays, whatever it is. I feel like we managed to bring it all in a very natural sort of way. It's very organic. And this allows me to not have to spend a lot of my time on curriculum planning. And I'm very thankful for that. The next thing, what am I on? 6? Number 6? Yes. So the next thing I have is that Sunlight curriculum really helps tackle hard issues, but it does it in what I believe is an age-appropriate way. Although you as the homeschool mom and me as a homeschool mom need to really decide that for our kids and our family, but it gives you all the information you need in the instructor's guide. It's all in there as to how to talk about harder topics or how to talk about heartbreaking topics for that matter, and how these events have shaped human history and how that matters to understand it and how that can result in more compassion for others. But just really also amazing discussions, maybe discussions that help me as a Christian mom, a Christian parent, try to parent in this current generation. And Sunlight helps give me some of those tools to have these conversations about hard things that are happening or things that are just challenging and maybe that go against what I believe. And how do I talk to my child about that? Sunlight really helps, not necessarily through like instructing me how to do that, though sometimes it's in the instructor's guides, but more so through picking good literature that helps put the conversation on the table. So it's more about, we can have the conversation about a character, less about my child, you know what I mean? But they can start to wrestle with these big ideas, and we can do it in my house. And that makes all the difference to me. And so I'm really, really thankful for one, the literature selection, but also the instructions to help me kind of flesh that out with my child. I wouldn't trade that for anything, honestly. But that segues into number 7. Number 7 is deep and meaningful conversations. So yes, they can be on those hard concepts like I just talked about, but just deep conversations. And I love it because you never know what the kids are going to pick out. And what I love about literature-based learning is that often they'll be pulling things from other topics, or maybe it was even last year's American history. They'll make a comparison between George Washington and like Alexander the Great or something like that, where they'll be able to kind of see some similarities, some differences, but because the information is a little bit more like real and tangible because we've been reading these more exciting historical books and not textbooks, they're able to kind of pull out that information in really interesting ways. So we have some really deep conversations on what we're learning. Also, like I said, about our faith, those have been some of the sweetest and best conversations for me personally as a mom, to be able to kind of listen to my child's heart and what they're thinking and feeling when it comes to their faith. And so I love that. So deep conversations, I feel like Sonlight has helped me do that. They do offer discussion questions in the instructor's guide. And a lot of times I will use those straight word for word, but a lot of times I won't. I'll use kind of the concept of what it's asking, or I'll even ask it kind of more broad and open-ended questions like, what would you have done if you were this character? Or tell me back what you heard in this last chapter. So you can use their help. You can use the questions as more inspiration. But I feel like Sonlight, the curriculum, has taught me how to have richer discussions with my kids, which is awesome. Number 8 is something that's kind of near and dear to my heart, and I have talked about this a lot on my channel, is that I love the fact that Sonlight has both secular and Christian resources, especially when it comes to science. And I know this can rub some people the wrong way, but Sonlight is very clear in explaining why they have chosen to do this, and that document is found in all their science curriculum, so it's very accessible as to why Sonlight allows some secular resources to be in their program, even though they are very much a Christian company. They love Jesus and all of these things, but what I love about that and why it means a lot to me is it allows parents to explain things to their kids, maybe in this case, science, in other cases it could be like culture and history and things like that. And it gives the parents the room to explain what they believe and why. But it also provides in the instructor's guide helpful things to talk about. But it doesn't assume a certain belief system. And that matters to me. That matters to me a lot. I think that's respectful for me as a Christian homeschool mom. And we're just all unique. And I really appreciate that. And so in the fact that they do have secular and Christian resources, it also allows the science curriculum to follow different standards like the next generation science standards and things like that that matter to me a lot. And so I really appreciate that about Sonlight, very much so. Number 9, I like the way that Sonlight plans out its scope and sequence. It's kind of a slow and steady, especially when it comes to language arts. So in the terms of language arts, it's building the skills slowly but surely over time, and it's allowing the kids to just keep working on different things, and it spirals it back and it gives them another chance at like a certain assignment, whether it be like a little paragraph, and it just kind of frames it a different way, and it allows them to practice it anew with some more skills and things like that. So it's just kind of these slow incremental steps, and I feel like I've watched my kids really grow in that, and it has really served them. And I just didn't see that from the first viewing of especially the language arts. I didn't see kind of that slow and steady progression, but I see it now that I've used it for a number of years. So I really like that. And then the last thing I like, okay, this is one of my favorite things. I really like the mentors and customer service that comes along with Sonlight. One, you can call the advisor line anytime and just chat about your specific family situation, and they can help guide you as to like what might be best resource-wise within their curriculum. I mean, that's wonderful to begin with. But the other thing I love is I love that they've been around for like 30 years. Okay. And so then they have all these extra resources, say like podcasts or their app where they have a lot of different mentors come on and share their homeschooling journey specifically for their kids. And what I love is there's a lot of veteran homeschoolers on there. They're like, yeah, I homeschooled for 20 years and this is what we did. Or I had this happen and this is how we adjusted. And to me, the wealth of knowledge of the people who came before me is just so amazing. And it's all out there. Like it's on their YouTube channel, it's through their blog, it's all very accessible. And I wouldn't trade that for anything because sometimes it is hard as a homeschooling parent to be like, where is this bus going? It's the question of kind of long-term plan. And to be able to hear from women who have homeschooled their kids all the way with Sonlight and how that has gone for them, or what were their struggles, how did they problem solve, things like that, just I find a lot of comfort in and a lot of just assurance that I'm on a good path and it doesn't have to look like everybody else, but to know that I can solve it and we can kind of do it together, I just appreciate. And I know there's a lot of wonderful homeschool curriculum companies, but I think, in my opinion, Sonlight is one of the best out there in that regard of just support and kind of coming alongside me, feeling like I'm walking with other homeschoolers. And so those were my 10 things that I wanted to mention as to why I love Sonlight. I mean, there's so many reasons, and I could list off more reasons, but those were probably the ones that have impacted me the most or that have really made me love our homeschool experience while using Sonlight. And honestly, my kids love it too. It is hands down their favorite curriculum. And so I would love to hear from you. Do you use Sonlight homeschool curriculum? Let me know down below. Are you curious about it? I was curious for a number of years before I finally committed to just picking it up and trying it out. And I am so glad I did and I wouldn't look back. And so let me know down below which one you are, as well as any questions you might have, and I can try to help answer them. But otherwise, guys, that is what I have for this video. I love Sonlight. You all know that if you've been following my channel, but I wanted to make a dedicated video as to specifically why I love it. But that's what I have. So if you liked the video and found it useful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you want to, and otherwise, you guys, I will see you in the next homeschool video. All right, take care. Bye.